Clarity on Fire, a podcast for people who know what they don't want out of their life and career, but aren't sure what they'd rather be doing.
In a world where it's easy to exist, but hard to feel alive, we, Kristen
and Rachel,
2 certified life and career coaches, are here to help you cut through the information overload, get unstuck, and focus not just on how you can have a career you're passionate about, but how to create a whole life that feels fulfilling.
So join us here, where we serve up inspiration and down-to-earth wisdom in a way that only 2 best friends can.
We want you to experience the relief of knowing that, yes, you're allowed to want more out of your life and career.
And no, you don't have to wander through the dark anymore. Our job is to light the fire that shows you the way. Let's go.
Hi.
Hey.
Before we get into your blog, I had a really nice email that I asked if I could read, and she said yes. This is from Cleo. She said, I want to thank you for everything you do, especially your free content. Your podcast and Oprah are almost the only ones I listen to.
I love being lumped in with Oprah of all people.
Any category where I can be with Oprah is fine by me. A year ago, I had 0 career direction and had no idea what I was doing or wanted in my life. I enrolled in the Passion Profile short course and shortly thereafter took a 1-year college program and went from a multi-year-long existential crisis to landing a really significant job that will be a launch pad for the rest of my life. I also ended a bad relationship and got back in touch with my core values, which had been covered up through years of disappointment and feeling like I had to be somebody else in order to get by. Throughout the whole time, especially the last few months, I've been blown away by your insights, and they come at exactly the right time that I need to hear them. I look forward to enrolling in your upcoming people-pleasing course. That's from Cleo.
That is so nice, Cleo. You don't know how much that means to both of us.
I mean, I can't tell you what I liked more, that you got a really significant job or that you ended a bad relationship. Both are very important, if you ask me.
Absolutely. Getting in touch with your core values and actually aligning your life with them that's some big work. So
thank you for that
kudos.
Really ringing endorsement that just made my day.
And it's so nice to hear. I really appreciate when people are sharing how helpful our free content is too, because, we just do it because we love it. And that really means a lot to hear that. So thank you, Cleo.
So you brought back an old blog because, as you all probably know by now, this month maybe later this month I'm going to write a new blog, but don't hold out hope. But because we've been working so hard on the upcoming course, we just can't write new blogs. So you brought back another old one.
I did. And it's in the spirit of the people-pleasing theme that we've been on. This is from 2016, and it's about not speaking up because it's not worth it.
You mean your former rallying cry?
I think it's a lot of people's rallying cry.
Actually, that's hilarious. That's very meta and ironic that I said that.
Rallying cry, because
it's like introverts being like, let's all congregate in our homes alone, separately. People who don't speak up are like, let's pretend like we did and then don't.
Let's have a rallying cry about not speaking up.
Internally with ourselves that no one else need hear.
Exactly. Now, I've heard this one a lot. I mean, it was certainly my rallying cry for a long time, and I still struggle with it. But I've heard this from a lot of people. So I think this is a common thread among people pleasers where you're like, no, it's not worth it, as a way of avoiding hard conversations.
Can't relate.
I know.
Can't relate.
But I think a lot of people will. So I brought it back because I think I'm not the only one who has this internal dialogue.
All right. Well, I'm assuming you give them, advice about when to know how to, when to speak up.
I do. Yes.
And when not. Maybe it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not always worth it. But they're gonna default to it's never worth it.
I want you to default to it's always worth it, and then sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're brave enough to listen to that and be told that you're wrong about your desire not to speak up, then we'll see you at the end of the blog.
When you don't speak up because it's not worth it. Tell me if you can relate to this. You're sitting in a work meeting and someone says something you disagree with. You think about speaking up to share your opinion or different idea, but the little voice in your head says, don't bother, it's not worth it. Then later, you kick yourself when someone else shares the same idea you had. Or you're talking to your mom, sister, friend, spouse, whoever, and they say something that totally rubs you the wrong way. You feel hurt, annoyed, and resentful, but when you consider bringing it up with them, you immediately think, this isn't worth making a big deal about, just let it go. Except the next time that same person gets under your skin, and they will, the resentment shows up again, and it's even bigger this time. Or your manager gives you overly critical feedback on an assignment, even though you worked your ass off to meet his impossible deadline. You want to stand up for yourself, but once again you think, what's the point? It's not worth it. But later that night, you find yourself scrolling through job listings online. Sound familiar? I know it does for me. As a recovering people pleaser, I've been giving a lot of thought lately to what prevents me from speaking up, especially when I sense a brewing conflict or potentially uncomfortable conversation. I've heard this same phrase ringing in my own head enough times, and from enough clients too, to feel pretty sure that I'm onto something. It's not worth it. I'm finding that the times when I'm least likely to speak up, which also happen to be the times when I most want to speak up, are when I'm worried that I'm going to create or inflame some kind of conflict or discomfort. When I'm angry, hurt, annoyed, frustrated, disappointed, or in disagreement with someone, a part of me really wants to speak up. In fact, I usually have a running mental list of all the ways I want to express my thoughts, voice my disagreement, or say exactly how I'm feeling. But as soon as I consider actually saying something, I immediately think, don't bother, it's not worth it. What's the point? It's not worth it. I can't tell you the number of times that phrase has stifled my voice. What happens when you think it's not worth it? Thinking it's not worth it in the face of conflict is really common and normal, and it may allow you to avoid a confrontation or uncomfortable conversation, but at what cost? Just because there's no fight, heated argument, or awkward exchange doesn't mean the emotions magically melt away. In fact, living with unexpressed emotions, especially anger and hurt, can be way more toxic in the long run. Unexpressed emotions quickly turn into resentment, passive aggressiveness, distancing, isolation, self-righteousness, nitpicking, hopelessness, anxiety, criticism, and gossiping. Harboring these kinds of emotions is like living with a constant low-grade fever that slowly drains away your energy and your natural positivity, until eventually you hardly recognize this new, overly critical, touchy, anxious, resentful version of you. In the past few years, it's become abundantly clear to me that speaking up in the moment, even if it's vulnerable and uncomfortable, is so worth it to live a life without resentment. Say what you need to say. I'll be the first to tell you how surprised I've been these past few years to learn that speaking up, defending myself, disagreeing with someone, and actually engaging in confrontation instead of shying away from it, well, as it turns out, it's actually a massive relief. All of the things I was so scared of, everything that made me feel like it's not worth it, never happened. It hasn't ruined any friendships, cost me any great opportunities, or made my body implode from the physical discomfort, although it certainly felt that way sometimes. In fact, engaging in confrontation has done the exact opposite of what I thought it would do. It has vastly improved my relationships. Being honest about how I feel in the moment has opened up a depth of connection that I never fully experienced before. And the resentment? It's all but gone. Besides, even if those consequences I'd been so scared of had happened, I'm realizing something else, something even more profound. Expressing myself is always worth it. I don't need any other reason than that to speak up. Self-expression is the ultimate payoff, and it's more than worth it. It is worth it. Some of you may be reading this right now thinking, why is this such a big deal for you? I've never had trouble speaking up and engaging in a fight. In fact, it's usually other people who are telling me it's not worth it because I speak up about every little thing I'm feeling. Well, first of all, I have mad respect for you. I've always had tons of admiration for people who find it easy and natural to speak their mind in any circumstance. But I also want to clarify one major point. This isn't about voicing every thought or emotion you have, and it's also not about engaging in every argument just for the sake of it. This is about speaking up when it really does matter to you. We're talking about a healthy balance here. So how can you tell when it is, in fact, worth it for you to speak up? Of course, you know for yourself better than anyone can ever know for you when you really need to say something. But here are a few instances where I know for sure that it's worth it for you to speak up. When whatever it is that triggered you is chafing up against a value of yours, like respect, compassion, honesty, equality, etc. When you intuitively know that you're using "it's not worth it" as a convenient excuse to stay in your comfort zone. When it's a recurring issue with a particular person. When you can feel the resentment growing the longer you stay silent. When you really want to speak up, but the prospect of it makes your stomach turn with anxiety. When you feel as though staying silent is being disrespectful of yourself. So tell me, have you ever wanted to speak up but thought it's not worth it? How would it make you feel to finally speak your mind? Leave a comment to let me know.
If you haven't yet listened to our episode from this past Friday, where we had a roundtable on people pleasing with two of our very closest friends and fellow coaches, Stacey Campisi and Joanna Platt, you really need to go back and listen to that because it was so good. And there was lots of conversation around this topic of speaking up. Joanna told a whole story about something that felt very insignificant, but gave her a ton of discomfort in having to just say what she wanted and speak her mind. And it blew my mind because I was like, I didn't realize people struggled with even those small of things.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking it's hard to speak up when you're like, I don't like the way that you're treating me right now. But it's also with the most minor, apparently insignificant things, too.
It is. Absolutely. In fact, I would also recommend that you go listen to our side chat about the 3 types of people pleasers, because I have a feeling that if you related to this blog topic, you might fall into the avoidant category of people pleasers who doesn't want to rock the boat.
Okay, scroll backward a little while and you'll find our side chat about that.
And there's a link as well.
Yeah. So, okay, wow. Whew. You got one more week until we're launching, and I guess opening for enrollment is a better way to say it. Getting over people pleasing.
Opening day is a week from today, Tuesday, August 20th. Virtual open day. We don't really have a store you can come into. But
So for those of you who are like, but then I have to wait a whole week to get started because we're getting started officially on Wednesday, the 28th. No. We have a whole intro assignment for you, a whole video. There's multiple homework assignments to get started with. So for those of you overachievers, just know there's work to do from day one.
And people are going to be interacting and introducing themselves in the forum, so you can already start connecting with people, even before we're officially starting. So yes, joining us on Tuesday is not going to mean sitting around waiting for a week. So if you have been hearing us talk about this ad nauseum and you know that you're a people pleaser, and the more you hear from us, the more you feel seen and maybe called out a little bit, then make sure that you join our VIP list. Link is in the episode description if you haven't already joined, and you will be the first to know when enrollment opens next week. And you also might get some other surprises.
Yes, you will. Okay. So that is that. And we'll see you on Friday with, what are we doing?
A side chat.
Oh, a new side chat.
But it's not a video side chat. So fair warning.
Oh, that's right. Because
it's just audio this time. because Rachel was sick. So
Well, I don't think you're going to be like devastated not to see our faces.
no, just fair warning in case you're used to watching side chats on YouTube. You can just listen this time.
I'm just going to tease this one by saying I got the idea from a murderer who complimented me once at my last job.
That's a great teaser.
Yep. So we'll see then.
You didn't even reference that, and that's just a little factoid.
I did in the show notes. I did in the email they're going to get on Friday that teases the episode.
Well, there you go.
That's where I learned about it.
Well, now you have to tune in on Friday to figure out what that's all about.
And why the hell was I cavorting with murderers is a better question.
That is a really good question.
I actually don't talk about it on the episode. I do talk about it in the email or the show notes. So read that if you want to understand why that happened. It's really not that big of a deal, but still sounds cool or scary, depending on your perspective.
Scary.
Okay, I was never in danger. Okay.
See you then.